Week 23 of the 2023-24 NBA season is in the books, which means it's time to run it back. This is Run It Back NBA Week in Review LA Lakers edition. I'm Brandon Sparks, writer at thePeachBasket.net, and your host. This is the show where we recap the week that was for the Los Angeles Lakers and then highlight their marquee matchups for the week to come. Let's start by looking at where the team lands on the Peach Basket's objective power rankings this week. The Lakers overall went up 2 spots on our power rankings to number 13. They finished the week at 3-1, earning the record I predicted last week and only losing to the Pacers. However, the Lakers still remain at the number 9 seed, even with this great week. The Pacers game in LA ended up being one of the highest scoring games the Lakers have had since the Showtime Lakers with Magic and Kareem. They got a great win, and although the final score of 150 to 145 looked close, it was during the free throw fouling game with like 2 minutes left that Tyrese Halliburton hit like 3 threes in a row to bring it close. But the game was basically sealed and done at that point, and those threes were just kind of making us sweat as viewers. D'Lo sat out this game due to an illness, but Spencer Dinwiddie finally showed his offensive prowess, something we've been waiting for ever since he showed how great he is when he was with the Dallas Mavericks, and then he got traded to, or he left for Brooklyn, or he was traded to Brooklyn, I don't remember, but he had a big fall off when he hit Brooklyn, and we've been just waiting for him to show what he was like with Dallas last season, and we finally got that. He got the start over D'Angelo, and he scored 26 points alongside some stellar defense once again. So if we can get this type of production from him off the bench, just here and there, he would make just a great sixth man, which we are desperate for. Our bench production is really awful. All we rely on really is Dinwiddie and Taurean Prince, who are very wishy-washy. But luckily our starters are really finding their flow right now. The Bucks game, another thriller after the last Bucks game, where D'Lo put the team on his back without LeBron and Davis. This time around, Davis actually played, and he actually played the most minutes in his career with 52 minutes, and it was also the most by a Laker since Kobe in 2012, where he was ran to the ground by Mike D'Antoni, but I digress. This game went to overtime after the Lakers made a huge 19-point comeback in the second half of the fourth quarter, holding the Bucks to only 15 points in the whole quarter. Austin Reeves took over. He wasn't even having that great of a game before the fourth quarter, and he just completely took over. He hit multiple threes to tie it up, along with a few shots in overtime to seal the game. He finished with his second career triple-double. It was incredible. D'Lo also almost finished with a triple-double. He had a stat line of 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 12 assists. So just an incredible game all around from the Lakers. They are one of the best teams in the fourth quarter this season, so hopefully that can continue come playoff time. The Grizzlies were the second game of a back-to-back, and Davis had to sit out for this game. He did play the most minutes of his career the day before, so it's understandable. He also looked like he was hobbling at the end of that Bucks game, so understandable that he had to sit out. But LeBron came back. He was out for the Bucks game, so it's even more of a surprise that we won that game. But LeBron played in the Grizzlies game, and he finished with a triple-double as the Lakers once again got a win. And this marked their 5th win in a row, which is the most the team has had this season, which is kind of sad to say, but it is what it is. Rui Hachimura proves how valuable he truly is in this game. He scored a career-high 7 threes and finished with 32 points, which is a team high. He has really been finding his flow ever since he was inserted into the starting lineup, and he just has these games where he just goes off and has some great production. Dinwiddie and Prince also performed great off the bench with 10-plus points each, which is, I believe, the most important stat because we all know the starters can play, but it's the bench unit that really needs to step up. The Pacers game in Indiana this time on Friday was, like I said last week, a game that the Lakers would just be tired for. Everyone really looked sluggish in this game, and D'Lo was just a prime example of how tired the Lakers were. Every shot he threw up seemed to be short, and he only finished with 6 points, which is awful. But I'm going to leave this as an outlier, as the Lakers this is their fourth game of the week. They're really tired, and they just seem like they just didn't want to play. The Pacers play incredibly fast as well and are always trying to fast break. So the worn-out Lakers just didn't have the energy to keep up with them. Davis did return to the lineup after not being in the Grizzlies game, and he had a great game at least. So that's good to see. All right, let's move on. Let's look at the best to do it in key categories for the Lakers this week. Anthony Davis just had a monster week, leading the team in points with an average of 31.3. D'Lo led the team in three-pointers made with 3.3, which isn't a lot. Anthony Davis had 12 field goals made on average, which was the most on the team. Davis also averaged 18 rebounds, which is crazy, with 4.7 rebounds, offensive rebounds, and 13.3 defensive rebounds. As I said, monster week. LeBron James had 10 assists on average this week. Davis averaged 1.7 blocks, and D'Lo and Davis both averaged 1.3 steals, which is the most for the team. And the best game score average for the Lakers this week goes to Anthony Davis at 27.9, which earns him 2 weeks in a row as the top performer for game score, which is usually dominated by LeBron. Let's move on to the week ahead. Week 24 for the Lakers is just as busy as this week, with multiple back-to-backs occurring, which is extremely frightening for a team that is desperate to get some wins with only 2 weeks left in the season. The Lakers play the Nets on Sunday, the Raptors on Tuesday, and then a back-to-back with the Wizards on Wednesday. And then after a few days off, they get to go home. The Lakers play the Cavs back in Los Angeles on Saturday. But then they have another back-to-back with the T-Wolves on Sunday in LA as well. But I'll cover that T-Wolves game on the next Run It Back. The surprise of the week, Gabe Vincent, supposedly returning to the Lakers at the Brooklyn game, which would just be incredible as he would complete the defensive backcourt that would come off the bench for the Lakers. Having a second unit with either Reeves and D'Lo alongside either Vincent or Dinwiddie would be amazing, and you just leave Davis in there. Of course, it'll take a while for Vincent to get back into game form and probably won't get many minutes, but just seeing him on the court, getting minutes with the guys, letting Ham figure out lineups will be important. And unless Brooklyn and Cam Thomas have another super stellar shooting night like they did against the Lakers last time, I believe the Lakers should win this game after a sluggish Pacers game where they kind of just took the game off. The Raptors and Wizards games, although they are back-to-backs, they should just be easy wins. The Raptors have been on a huge slide ever since Scotty Barnes got hurt and just have looked just as bad as the Wizards and the Pistons this season without Scotty. And as for the Wizards, they have been putting together some wins as of late, which is not saying much, but they don't stand a chance at stopping Anthony Davis if he is available. So those should be easy wins. The Cavaliers game will be back in Los Angeles and will be after a few days rest. So the game could go either way, but with Donovan Mitchell back in the lineup for the Cavs, I think the Lakers will lose this game just from being tired, very similarly to the Pacers game last week. And then they have a back-to-back right after that, so I could see them resting either LeBron or Davis for either the Cavs game or the Timberwolves game, one of the two. I predict the Lakers going 3-1 this week once again, losing to the Cavs in the one home game this week. The teams they are playing this week are just not good and should be easy wins as long as the Lakers play how they should, which, is always a question mark. But as of late, they have been looking great and seem to be finally figuring out the correct lineups, and they're getting into a flow. So I don't believe the Lakers should be giving up any losses to the teams like Brooklyn or Toronto or Washington, especially at such an important time this season. I think they're really going to step up and play like how they should. They're really finding their flow. I really believe that the Lakers have finally figured it out, and they're going to get Gabe Vincent back, which will be a learning curve, I believe, for the team of just like how to, especially for Ham, which we know his coaching isn't incredible, so it'll take a minute for him to figure out the correct lineup with Vincent in there. But either way, I believe the Lakers can figure it out. Let's move on to Full Court Press. I'll end with a quick look at Lakers news. We call this Full Court Press. I just type in Los Angeles Lakers and see if anything interesting and worth talking about comes up on page 1. And today, this article by Paul Kasabian for Bleacher Report. It's called Trae Young linked as trade target as LA hopes to go third star hunting. And we all know the Lakers always have trade rumors around them, and there's already trade rumors coming around if the Lakers want to get a third star if they fail to make a deep run in the playoffs this year, which is very possible. We are the 9 seed. We could lose in the play-in, especially if the Kings are in the play-in. If we have to play the Kings, it is very likely we lose to them. And even if we do make it out of the play-in, we have to play the Denver Nuggets, possibly, which that'll be rough. So, yeah, if we don't make a deep playoff run, then the Lakers are going to want to find a third star, and it's looking like they're linked to Trae Young. The Hawks have actually been looking pretty good, even without Trae Young. DeJounte Murray just almost by himself, beat the Boston Celtics twice. So it's looking like Trae Young just might not be in the future plans for the Hawks, especially considering they've been a fringe playoff team for a couple seasons now. After they had that one season, which was just a great season, where they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Granted, there was a lot of injuries on the teams that they played, but it's still incredible that they made that run. But other than that, like besides coaching changes and the DeJounte Murray trade and everything, it just doesn't seem like they've been able to get a run going again. So it looks like they're trying to rebuild almost and readjust to what their team looks like, and it doesn't look like Trae Young might be part of that. So Trae Young has been linked to a lot of different trades, and one of them was the San Antonio Spurs, which, if you've been watching Victor Wembanyama, wow, he is that 40-point, 20-rebound game against the Knicks was just incredible. He's looking incredible. So him with Trae Young, I mean, call it quits for the league. But he's also been linked with the LA Lakers. He is a Clutch Sports client, so he's definitely in cahoots with LeBron almost. So there is a possibility that he's able to come, but the problem is, who do we trade for him? Do we trade Austin Reeves? Do we trade D'Lo? Do we trade Rui Hachimura, which I don't really want to do, but he's an expensive player too. I believe he's entering his 3rd season on a 5-year deal, and he's making a lot of money, so it might end up being a Phoenix Suns type of situation where we have 3 all-stars and 3 superstars, and then a bunch of not great players, but I guess we'll see what happens in the offseason. But it's an interesting situation, and I think Trae Young in LA, other than like the money, would be incredible. I think he's a young player, he's a great player, and I think he would really benefit from, like, he loves being in the limelight. Like when he beat New York Knicks in that season run, in that playoff run where they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, when they beat the Knicks, he really was enjoying being the villain for New York, and I think he would really enjoy being in LA. I think he has the grit and he can handle being in the light and all the hate that can come as being a Laker and what Laker fans can really throw at you. So I think Trae Young would be a great asset. It just depends on what we have to trade for him. That's the problem. I'm not sure what we could possibly put together to trade for him. I guess a couple first-round picks and D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura and possibly someone else, but I guess we'll see. It depends on what they traded John Collins for a bag of chips, so I'm hoping that they kind of undervalue Trae Young when it comes to the trade market, but there's always the Lakers tax, so I guess we'll see. There's also a couple other trade targets for the Lakers, including Donovan Mitchell and Kyrie Irving maybe, but I think Trae Young is the more likely scenario. I think Donovan Mitchell is more likely to go to New York than he is to go to LA, especially if it comes to trading. I don't think we have the trade assets for Donovan Mitchell, but Kyrie Irving also, I think he is perfectly happy in Dallas, so I don't think that's going to happen either, but I guess we'll see in this offseason. And that's it. Week 23 of the Lakers 2023-24 NBA season is wrapped. Join us next week after week 24 when we once again run it back.